Come on.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Michelle Miguel. I'm a human services planner here at Maricopa Association of Governments. And today we will be hosting a diversion training. And we're welcoming Andrea Havens, the Single Adults Coordinated Entry Compliance Coordinator, and Medina Dixon. She is the program manager of the entry points and diversion. Thank you for joining us.
Okay, where's my little microphone? I can't find it. Okay, let's get this out of here. Okay.
Good morning or good afternoon, everyone. I really appreciate everyone taking the time out to come and talk about diversion services and how important it is. So today we're just going to pretty much go over the diversion strategies of ending homelessness, kind of what diversions are about, why we do diversions, why they're so important across our whole entire, I would say even nation, to where our all of our entry points. It's just a diversion could be anything and everything, and we will get into all of that. So to start, the first thing we're going to start with is our objectives. So what I want, Andrea and I want you guys to take away from this training is, yes, if you guys can all put your name and agencies and expectations that you want from this training, and also please put in the chat the questions. We will have someone reading the questions, and then we can answer them throughout the whole entire presentation. I am totally fine with that. We're just going to play it by ear. If you have any questions, just raise your hand or throw it in the chat, and then we'll, answer the questions the best way we can. Do you want me to finish or have to get off? Okay. For our objectives, moving really quick for our objectives. So what we want you to learn at the end of this training, the whole point of the training is, by the end of this training, I want you guys to be able to end homelessness. So by the end of this training, you will be able to explain why and when to use diversion services and diversion process, confidentiality to engage in diversion conversations with clients, and the guide the creation of the diversion of a housing plan as well. So we'll break all of that stuff down. And the next part is our agenda. So it'll be module 1, introducing diversions, module 2, coordinated entry, the 9-step diversion questions. And again, we'll explain all of this. Module 3 is practicing diversion. So we'll have some fun little practice. We'll do a little couple scenarios with you and just go from there and just see how you would either, handle this diversion and be able to divert a client or even make a client feel comfortable. So we'll do different scenarios with that. I'll pass it over to Andrea to introduce the diversion and kind of just give the definition of a diversion and what it's about.
Good afternoon, everybody. So what is diversion? Diversion is an evidence-based practice that involves guided conversation with individuals seeking shelter to identify immediate alternative housing arrangements, and in some cases connect with services and/or financial assistance to help them return to permanent housing. That is the definition of diversion.
I also wanted to add to, basically a diversion is we want to try everything we can to prevent the person from entering our homeless response system and coming up with a solution, a creative solution and problem solving with the individual. So just wanted to add that.
Thank you, Michelle.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, thank you, Michelle. And so the next module will be, who is diversions for? That is the number one question everyone always asks. It's for everybody, individuals that are in crisis, seeking emergency housing, individuals already homeless, in shelters or unsheltered, or in that case called rapid exit. So rapid exit is a strategy for already in shelter. You could be in transitional housing, unsheltered situations. So pretty much diversion is for anyone. I literally walked out of a Circle K yesterday and I engaged with a client and I literally diverted him and got him situated. I got him my card and I gave him information about our services. The next day he came and we literally diverted him to his mother, who hasn't seen him in over 15 years. And it was so surreal. It was so emotional. It was just the greatest feeling ever. So when I say you can divert anywhere, it's for anybody. You can divert them anywhere. The next one I'll have Andrea read.
When and where does diversion happen? So diversion can happen at entry points. It could happen with outreach team encounters, at churches, schools, food kitchens, supportive services, and shelters. That's where the rapid exits would be. Diversion conversations can happen at any time. If a person says no during the first engagement, it's possible to revisit the conversation at a later date. So we actually had this where, this individual was constantly engaged, and it took a little bit of time, but, being persistent and engaging them, he eventually was diverted. So that is true. It could always come back and revisit it and have those conversations at a later date.
Absolutely. So just piggyback off of what Andrea was saying, you can easily have these conversations anywhere, but don't press, don't push. If you already feel like that client is getting just a little agitated or standoffish, or like, why are you so much in my business? It's okay to step back. Hey, let's just get you into shelter. We'll revisit this conversation tomorrow, or maybe in a couple of weeks. You don't always have to divert right then and there when that client walks through the door. It can happen in days, in a couple of weeks, a couple of months. Special conditions to consider. So when you are diverting, can everybody hear me? I want to make sure everybody can hear me. Just put a thumbs up if we can. But just things to consider when you are good. Okay. Things to consider when we are diverting clients. It's very important. So when a client has been chronically homeless, meaning they've been homeless for 12 to 15 years, you want to make sure they feel good when they're going, on the bus to visit their family members, their friends. So, take that time out. Let's get them some brand new clothes. Let's get them, a shower. Let's a female, let's get her hair done. Maybe just, paint her nails. Just make that client feel good to get on the bus and be so excited to see their loved ones that they haven't seen in years. I can't tell you how important that is. And then you just don't want them to feel like, oh my God.
I'm like, yeah, just helping the homeless.
Yep,
Hello.
exactly what you said. I want to repeat that, or were you supposed to be on mute? Okay, it's okay, it happens. But also for SMI clients, you want to make sure that when they are being diverted, that you talk to their clinics, you let them know that they're going to, just for example, they're going to California. So do they have any other clinics in California that you can connect them to? It is so important. I cannot tell you how important that is to make sure you always do a hot handoff, connect, take that time, do some research, figure out what area they're going to be going into so they can go be like, they probably have sister clinics out in different states. Like I'll just throw out there like Terrell's, I don't know for sure, but I'm just saying for an example, you can call another facility and just say, hey, I have this client. We're going to get them all. We're going to send them off to another state. And then I just want to make sure they have their medications, they're okay. You want to go over different little scenarios with them when they're going on the bus. if you're sitting down with someone, somebody accidentally just, brushes you, it's okay. It's it's small area. So that means, doesn't mean they want to fight you or they're upset with you or they don't like you or anything can be triggering. So if you know that client, you build that rapport with that client, please go over every single thing. Different things to think about too, elderly clients. It's really important that we make sure that they are able to carry their own luggage, and if they can't, get assistance. Because I deal with a lot of Greyhound by the airport, so they are familiar with our campus. So just to make sure that they are able to have a hot handoff, have a family member to come pick them up, make sure they don't get lost, they don't get off the bus. There's so many different things to think about when you are diverting these different categories for our clients. Substance abuse, same thing. Just make sure you're letting their clinics know, or if they're going to detox facilities or anything like that, letting them know that they are they're moving to a different state. And then for a detox facility, if they are high, please do not divert that client. Please let them be just engage them with like CBI or a detox facility for a couple of days. And then after that, let's revisit that diversion. It's not a no, but it's just not a yes right now. Domestic violence, we want to get them on that bus as soon as possible. So when they're sitting down right in front of you right now, I'm looking up a bus right now for you to leave on, because we want to make sure your abuser is nowhere around. Do you have anything to add to that? Everything good?
Everything's good. I mean, everything sounds good. Just coming up with that safety plan and coordination of care for wherever they may be going. That's really important.
Yes, definitely. So for a DV client, you definitely want to talk to that other family member. Make sure that it's a safety plan that's all planned out. You may want to go a little extra, drop them off at the Greyhound station, or get them a lift, and just make sure that you have that phone. You have their phone numbers. You call the family member, make sure that they made it there safely. Just always make sure you have a safety plan when it comes to a DV client, because I can't tell you how important that is. For our next slide, why use diversions? Oh, there's so many reasons why. Diversions is necessary for everything because it's high demand. Lack of immediate assistance, no shelter in some towns or cities, limited restriction funding, clients in mainstream programs that cannot use their vouchers in certain areas. That's why we try to go with diversions. Now, we don't want to just throw you out there and just say, hey, I don't want to deal with you, so let's just divert you. Let's just get you out of here. No, just think about the different reasons why diversions are very important, because sometimes we all know as case managers that we're not able to get vouchers right away. So we want to have other scenarios, other places, other resources that we can give them, and other opportunities that we can have. Did you want to share anything with that? Because I know there's probably some other ones I missed.
It's just really focusing on any of the other resources available to them, and being able to use those resources for probably a better outcome with diversion.
Mhm.
They would be going to a more of a support system.
Yes, definitely. It's so important. So I would say always use it. Always use it. So to be creative with diversions. So that's our next slide. So when you're being creative with diversions, think about think outside the box, problem solve. You want to explore different resources and strategies. So you want to maximize the resources outside shelters, housing services, possible housing out of the state, shared living, and visible opinion. So when you're trying to divert a client, you just want to think outside that box and think about different strategies, be creative. It's not just sitting a client on a bus. It's so much more than that. It's connecting them, building action plans. I don't want to jump, but I do want to say this. It's very important. You want to build an action plan, but also build it with that client. Don't just, hey, I'm going to have you do this, I'm going to have you do that. Engage with them. Let the client say, okay, I have this family member. I would like to stay with this family member. Oh, I know about this program out here. I can sign up with them. Like, make them feel good that they are just making their own decisions and figuring out a plan. Because I tell you one thing, as soon as they hit that state and they get off that bus, Medina, Andrea, nobody's there, or any other frontline staff is not there to hold your hand and guide you. So you want to you want to be creative. You want to just think outside the box and not make them feel like you just want to push them out the door. Just, just go over different things that you have done already out here that you can, everything that you exhaust, like you want to exhaust every single thing before you get them on that bus. So they don't just feel like they're being thrown away or they're just somebody else's problem. You don't ever want a client to feel that way. It's always just helping them the best way you can.
When also using this, being creative with the diversion and including the clients in their choices and the outcomes, it's also empowering for them. They're feeling like they're also doing this themselves. And I know that means a lot to people as well.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. And that goes to our next slide. So diversion is empowering. Do you want to go ahead and read that one?
Yeah. So diversion is empowering, puts crisis back in the hands of the client, supports a client's housing plan, helps clients find positive alternatives, laser focus on removing immediate housing barriers. So that kind of is piggybacked on what I was saying with it. It really empowers the clients to be a part of all of that.
Definitely. So I would say most of the times when frontline staff, I started as frontline staff. So when I would sit down and create action plans and try to put that diversion and try to put that power back into our clients' hands. Oftentimes I can't do this. I would get clients that would shut down so quickly. And it's just like, let's take a breather. If you smoke, let's go outside and smoke really quick. Let's just take a breather and think about this. Let's make a list. All the cons, the pros, the pros and the cons of what's going to happen when you're empowering yourself. What's happening out here? What are you doing out here that can make you go into housing or that can make it better for you for housing? And if that list is longer, if the pros is longer than the cons, or you just got to just work that out and just make it to where they are figuring out the situation on their own. But of course you're helping them out and you're throwing some things out there as well. But I can't tell you how good that feels when a client just, oh man, I just figured this out myself. Look what I did. I was able to talk to my family that I haven't talked to years. I was so embarrassed, but I don't know why I was embarrassed, because they wanted me to be there and they just wanted me safe. So just putting that crisis back in their hands, I can't tell you, it's so important, but make sure we do it, just make sure we do it strategically, and then make sure you're just not just rushing. You're not just saying, hey, just go, just do it. Just make sure you're just take that breather, have that conversation. Don't making sure you're not taking notes while you're talking to someone. You're not just looking down all the time. You want to look at that person in their eyes and say, you can do this. You can, just empower them to just make sure that they're able to, this is all advocating for yourself. You are always your best advocator. So just putting that back into their hands is very, very important. Does anybody have any questions before we move on to the next slide? Okay. So diversions are just not putting a client on a Greyhound. A diversion is ending a client's homelessness. So say they need, they're about to be moving into their apartment and they need to pay for storage for about a month or two until they get their voucher, they get their place, they get their apartment. We're able to do that. Say they need to get into their stores to get their state IDs. We're able to do that. It's just not always putting someone on the Greyhound. We can divert a client to Mesa, Phoenix, they can stay in the same state and we could divert them to Mesa. We can do gas cards. If they have a car, they can drive across, the state by using the gas card. It's not just using the Greyhound. We can divert in so many different ways. And I know Housing Match has different ways as well that you can throw in there as well if you want to put some other ways that we can divert clients, but it's not just always Greyhound buses. Anything that ends their homelessness, if you can just think about that, we can always talk about it. It's not always going to be a no. It's always, we try to say yes, but at the same time, let's work through that solution. But we're always open to them. Did you want to add anything to that? Or no? Okay. All right, so we'll go to the next one. You want to read this one?
Diversion makes sense. Why aren't we using it more? So think about our programs that may help more. Hope they'll get housing vouchers, make assumptions about who should or could be diverted, feel uncomfortable asking clients to discuss social networks because it might be depressing. If only 5 to 15% clients get diverted, decide it's not worth time with every client. So those are some of the reasons, I guess, why it's not being used.
So basically, this is basically explaining like this is our staff members or just all across the board, different partners. These are different scenarios of why you feel like you shouldn't divert a client. So all of the ones that we listed, no, you still can divert them. Just think, like I said, like if there's a voucher coming, if it's not coming till like a year from now, don't use that as an excuse. Get them on that Greyhound bus. Let's figure out a different solution for them to have housing out in a different state. Think of programs that may help them more. If you're thinking about different programs, well, I got this program that can help them out, and let's figure that program out first before we divert them. Just figure out, like I said, the pros and cons, what makes sense. Okay, this program can help them out, but when can we help them out? In 2 months. When we have a client that's ready to be diverted, again, I don't want to rush it, but at the same time, let's kind of rush them and get them on that Greyhound bus. Also, if they have a great action plan for, like if it's a great action plan for that family member wherever they're going to live with, let's use it. But if they don't, and if it's going to take a little while, I can always say we can divert them. But if it does make sense where they do have a voucher, they're going to get a place, just give me a month. Just give me like a month. Then, hey, let's do that. That's their own place. Why start all over again? So these are just different scenarios that just says, if you feel uncomfortable having that conversation, then just stop the conversation, maybe ask another staff member to step in. You can also never assume that, make assumptions about who could be diverted. Anybody can be diverted, like we said before. So just keep that in the back of your mind when you are diverting someone. Go back to this slide and just read off of these. You can divert anybody. It does not have to be right then and there. Again, just make what's logical. If it's going to take a year for you to get into housing, then let's find another housing solution for you. It's thinking outside the box. Use your team. It's not an I in team. Use your team, and just like I said, just go back to these different slides as well, just to say, hey, I'm not going to make assumptions. I'm not going to judge. I don't think you would be good at this place. You can never start a conversation with what I don't think, because that's not for you to, that's not for you to know. That is for the client to, feel comfortable. Like, I feel I can do this. I know I can do this. Have those words, use those words. So diversion always makes sense. That's it. Always makes sense. But at the same time, if you have other strategies and plans for them, please use them too. It's okay. But just go off of this if you are not sure. it's always a cheat sheet, I say. Did anybody else want to add anything to it before I go to the next one? Okay. So real quick, we're just gonna recap. You can add it in the chat or raise your hand. I just want to recap. This is the question one as well. In your own words, what is diversion? Oh, do we have a oh, we had a couple. Okay. In your own words, what are diversions? And how could a diversion be useful in your organization? Those are the two like important questions I would love for you guys to throw in the chat, please.
And so let's see if we have
Yes.
some. I would love to see that.
Yes. I love the thumbs up. I got it. I love them. All right. Yes. Please, please.
You can
I just
push
hold it down. Or push it down.
Hello, everyone. My name is Justin Hepler. I'm with the management team for Community Bridges, CBI. And I guess I'll pose it as a question for number one. What I'm hearing for diversion is an alternative housing solution. So in our situations, a lot of times members will come to our shelter and they may be on a wait list for various vouchers or different housing solutions. Maybe it's assisted living or something of that nature. And in some cases, what we could potentially do is have them coordinate with family or friends and find an alternative solution that would, I think they called it a rapid exit for shelters, but would give them a housing solution for now while they still work on that bigger solution of permanent housing. Is that kind of what I'm hearing?
Yes.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
That was perfect. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. Anybody else who can top? Let me see who can top that. What's that? I don't know if you can,
A
but
few more in the
that was
chat.
great.
Jackie Solaris says that diversion is another tool to help someone get housed.
Yes, it
Mhm.
is.
Carrie Brady says diversion is finding the fastest way to housing.
That is correct. But I want to just piggyback off that. It is finding the fastest way to housing, but at the same time, you don't want to be so quick to just kind of, and then I'm not saying that's what the question is, but I just, you don't want to be so quick to push the client out. We like to use diversion first, that strategy, but if there's other ways that we can help them out, I would love to explore that. But yes, diversion could be the fastest way to get them out as well, that into a safe, permanent solution of for housing. And let's do one more, but the next question I want to hear how is useful in your organization. Can we do one
Yeah,
more?
we actually have a question from Francisco as well. He asks if diversion, he says, could diversion be homeless prevention, rent, and utility assistance?
So yes. So that's actually our Flex Fund. So that's our Flex Fund program. We can kind of talk about that a little more, Francisco. Since this is diversion training, let's talk about that more like with you and I, or we can talk about that in our monthly entry point meetings. But yes, that it can be considered diversion as well. That is correct.
And here's an answer for the second question. Roxanne says, diversion for our company allows families to explore other paths to finding housing before turning to shelter. Shelter should be a last resort, especially if they have any other options.
That is correct. Oh, what was your name again?
That's Roxanne.
Thank you, Roxanne. That is a perfect example of definition. I love that. Thank you. I'm hearing a lot of great questions. Thank you so much for participating. I really appreciate it. So should we go to the second one? How can it be useful in you guys' organizations? I would love to hear that. Oh, okay. So we just did one. Okay, so thank you so much for all the questions and the feedback. So we're just gonna move on to the next slide. So the next one is coordinated entry for the 9-step diversion process. This is module 2. So, and I will make sure that everybody, when you guys drop your emails and your agencies in the chat, I will make sure everybody gets this 9-step process diversion. So I always use this when I am training my new staff. So this is basically a tool that we use to kind of ease your way into diversion, those diversion questions, because it's not always easy to just say, hey, do you want to be diverted? What does that mean? What do you mean diverted? What does that mean? So when you get into those conversations, you will first, our goal is to learn more about this specific housing situation. So it's, you want to say, why are you seeking emergency shelter? What else have you tried before seeking shelter? What else have you thought about trying but haven't yet? So those are the main 3 questions. I say those 3 questions first because those are really important and get you to start thinking, well, maybe I have, I can probably go to my cousin's house in New York, but I've never asked her, but I just, I feel like I'll be a burden, but maybe let's just try and figure that out. So basically the next, I would say 3 questions or 4 pages are the 9-step. So it's our 9-step diversion process of just easing your way into that diversion conversation. I won't read each one, but like I said, I will email it to everyone, but it's just for you to get comfortable. When you get comfortable, you will kind of just have that conversation, just you and another person building a rapport. But when you're first starting out, I always give this to my staff just to go off of and read the questions. But of course, I know when you're first starting out, it's not as easy. You're not going to remember all of the questions, but these questions are how you get into that diversion question. Because again, you can ask someone, do you have anybody that you can maybe live with in California? And then you get that answer like, well, what do you mean? Are you trying to just kick me out? Are you saying you don't have services for me? And that's not the question. And that's not what we're trying to say at all. We're just trying to figure out the best solutions that we can help you out. And also, maybe we can, get you, maybe your family's been looking for you for years and you didn't know that. I can't express how many success stories that we've had just by using diversions. And we had a 95% rate in 2021 of clients not returning to homelessness. Now we're adding those numbers up now. We're not at the end of the year yet. So I'm hoping it stays that way, that everybody stays housed. I had a family that I called back and they literally, there were a couple, they lived with the mother. Now they are in their own home. They own it. They have 2 children and they said, I'm fine. I can share this story because this is the best success story. One of the best. They have their own home. They have a job. They're doing well. They got married and her husband is 5 years now sober. It's like a round of applause. I just love hearing stories like this. So when we do call back clients to hear these stories, it's just like, wow, we did what we were supposed to do. And that's all about diversion. So that's why I say it's not just rushing and just kicking you out or just I don't want to have to deal with you. So let's figure out a diversion or let's pay for a Greyhound ticket for you to get out of here. It's really helps out clients. It's so many success stories to these different diversions. We also have a newsletter that shares that as well. I can't express that enough. So please, please, please use diversion, use this tool. It's so important. I can't stress it enough. It's very, very, very good. You want to go to the next module? Oh, this one, yes. So this is actually our scenario. We can go and it's up to you guys how you want to do this one. So basically this is a scenario we put together for module 3. It's practicing diversion. We have Mario. He's a single dad with a 5-year-old daughter named Alicia. They have turned up to coordinated entry, one of the coordinated entry points. He's scared, of course. about having to sleep in the car with his daughter Alicia. Mario feels like the world has come crashing down around him and doesn't know where to turn. He has never been in this situation before. Pause. Before we even start with the rest, we see this every single day. How can you divert? How can you just sit down and make that client feel comfortable enough with his 5-year-old daughter? What do you do? And how can you help this client say, you know what, let's figure out different solutions. Let's figure out this. But at the same time, I know he doesn't want to go through all of this and say all of this stuff in front of his 5-year-old daughter. We have it continues. The story continues. Do you want to read the next story?
So continuing on, Mario and Alicia were evicted from their studio apartment because Alicia got sick and Mario had to use his rent to pay medical bills. Mario lived there for 2 years and had a good relationship with the landlord before being evicted. Mario is a chef but missed work while Alicia was sick and was fired. He has not received child support from Alicia's mom since they broke up a year ago. Mario has no savings and was last paid 3 weeks ago. Now that he has no job, he's not sure when he will have money next. For the past 2 weeks, Mario and Alicia have stayed with the friend Sarah, but were asked to leave this morning after Sarah accused Mario of not doing anything to find a new place. Mario has a former coworker who used to help look after Alicia. However, since he lost his job, Mario has not spoken to any of his coworkers because he feels ashamed. Mario's immediate family are out of state, but he doesn't want to return home because Alicia has friends here and was settled in school before they lost their housing. Mario has a good relationship with his family, but is too embarrassed to ask for help. The only family Mario has in Arizona is his cousin, whom he has not spoken to for a while.
So just think about that story and just think about how many cases we had with this. So in the Welcome Center, I can't tell you how many stories that are just like Mario and Alicia. When I said pause, I mean pause, just really just hear the story and think about this. How do you talk to a client that is, for one, prideful, two, has a 5-year-old daughter that he does not want out of his sight? So how can you have these deep conversations with them? How can you sit there and tell, Mario, like, look, this may be the best option for you. Let's figure out, let's talk to your family. Let's try to see if you can live with them. Let's try to do this. But a lot of times, we're prideful. We have our own child. So we're like, I don't need somebody else to raise my child. It should be me. I feel all kinds of regrets. I feel, like I just failed my daughter. I'm in a position where she can possibly get taken away from me. So just thinking about when you're hearing these stories, think about how you can help this client the best way you can, and just figure out what we can do to help them. And not only that, help them be diverted. And if it's not diverted, let's help them get into a family shelter so he can feel like he can get back on his feet himself. All I hear is he needs help. So let's try to figure out the best way we can help him. Now, of course, we all know Human Services Campus is 18 and over, and UMOM, they have families. But instead of just saying, hey, you got to go to UMOM here, and I'll give you the directions, that's where you go. Let's sit down, pull them in the office. Let's sit down, let's talk to them. Let's see if another staff member can have a coloring book for the 5-year-old. And let's figure out different solutions and think outside the box for Mario. Let's make him feel comfortable. Let's make him feel, like he's worthy. Like you did not fail. You just had a hard time right now. Homeless does not define the person you are. It's just what you're experiencing. It's okay. I can't tell you how many, either all of us or other people that we have worked with, dealt with in the past have been in this situation. So let's be human, and let's treat him like a human being. And let's not look at him and judge him like, oh, you got a child and you can't even take care of your child. That is a absolutely no. That's not what we're doing. We're here to help. So just thinking about that situation, it's just something you can think about when you do come across these situations, which we all do. Just think about different ways you can start helping out our clients a little better. Um, and if not, and if you are, please throw in the chat different things that you've done so we can do things as well, because I'm always here to learn. I don't know everything. And I want to learn things every single day. And that's what I do. So for the next slide, did you want to add something to that?
No, I was just gonna say it's validating, the struggles he's experiencing. And in part of that conversation, motivational interviewing is a really good tool to use.
It is. And that's exactly what we're going to be talking about too in a couple of slides from now. So I know we jump here and there, but it's this, I can't just tell you how important this diversion training is. It's just to get the insight. For me, for me to be able to teach and to do things, I need to know the backstory. I need to know why we do things. So this is why this diversion training really, really helps. Our next one is set the scene. So when you are creating a welcoming, supportive environment to engage in clients' trust, you don't want it to be loud. You don't want to be in a lobby full of clients that are just coming in, jumping, walking up to the front desk, interrupting your intakes. You want to pull that client back to a private space, a quiet space. A quiet private space. You want to offer them, make them feel comfortable. You want some coffee? Are you hungry? You want a cup of noodles, some water, and then minimize note taking. I know it's harder said than done because I know you need to remember like everything they're saying, but first have that conversation with them, build that rapport with the client first. Figure out different like scenarios and situations of like, okay, so like obviously we know you're homeless. That's why you walk through the door. But what was the barriers? What made you become homeless? Not just eviction. What is the deeper root of that? For instance, substance abuse. I want to, be able to deep dive more into like, just for example, substance abuse. So if you are being evicted for substance abuse, let's figure out what we can do to help you get off drugs so you can get back into your housing and stay in your housing and never walk through those welcome center doors again. So it's just figuring out different ways to build a rapport with that client, making them feel comfortable. Don't never just jump into the job, because to that client, it's going to feel like, oh, I'm just another person. I'm just another job for you. I want to build that rapport. So it's really important that you set the scene. I can't tell you how important that is. Anybody else want to add anything to that before we switch to another? Okay. I'll go ahead and read the next.
Acknowledge effects of crisis. So the effects could be stress, anxiety, fear, frustration, decreased decision-making and problem solving, feelings of helplessness and desperation. So those are all things that somebody in this crisis who is coming in for diversion could be experiencing.
Absolutely. And you always want to acknowledge that too. When you see when a client is kind of being like standoffish, they're frustrated, don't give up so easily, because I always say the clients that are the most difficult to work with are the clients that need our help the most. Please don't be so quick to give up on clients. Let's just take the time, give them a break. Like I said, smoke, like I don't smoke, but I guaranteed you I will have a pack of cigarettes and even though it's bad for you, I will have it in my desk for a client to just go outside and take a breather. Just open that rapport with that client so they're not feeling all of this. I just repeated, I just said that in the front. Why do I have to repeat myself? Explain yourself. Never have one-worded answers. I can't tell you how important that is to explain to the client and anywhere you go what's going on, what's happening next, because now they understand what's going on and what's going to happen next. And it's not just, no, because we can't do that. No, you're going to explain the reasons why I want to stop right now, because I see you're getting frustrated, or I see, you got a little, you're getting a little like stressed. So it's okay. Let's just stop. Let's stop. Let's take a breather, and then we can come back, and either tomorrow we can come back in a couple of hours, but that's always okay. Please don't feel like just because you couldn't get through to this client today doesn't mean you failed. You didn't fail. It's just, it wasn't that time. It wasn't the time for the client to build and open up report, like open up yet. So I had a client that literally, it took me, I would say, a year to get through to this client. I worked every single day. I just said, hi, how's your day? Hello. And then every day was something new. Next thing you know is back was, how was your day? Oh, my day was perfect. It's such and such. So it just building it. Sometimes it takes some time. Don't rush. Never rush a client to, be able to tell their story, because they're coming from so many different things where they can't trust. They feel like they, that nobody wants to help, but we do want to help. That's why we're here. That's why we do things. That's why we do these trainings. That's why we help our clients. That's why we work where we work, because we want to figure out the best solutions to help our clients. But with all of that to be said, just please don't give up on your clients so easily and so quickly. And always remember, the difficult clients are the ones that need help the most. I can't say that enough. We will move on to the next module, which will be Mario and Alicia. So activities 1, when we read the story, what emotions is Mario likely to be feeling right now? And what would you say and do to offer initial reassurance to Mario? If you want to throw in the chat and we can answer. Take a look. Yeah. I love that. I see like 35 chats. I love that you guys are talking. I'm loving it.
I have something I'd like to share.
Of course, yes.
Okay, so just listening to Mario's story and seeing this part about emotions, like I personally like to first acknowledge someone's strength, try to find something to compliment them on. And like in his case, I would probably just try to acknowledge his strength to have the courage to come and ask for help. And then secondly, another thing that I like to do with people is open with things like, if I, would you, because that sometimes, like with the pride thing, it also gives them the opportunity to actually make the decision. So like, if I were able to provide you with this option or that option or whatever, would you be open to, looking at that with me? So it just kind of like, it's not like you said, it doesn't give for a yes or no answer. It allows them to start thinking for themselves. Because like you said in the previous slide, the decision making, all that kind of stuff is so challenging in that moment of stress. So I just have found that those couple little things have worked really well for me. So I just wanted to share that.
Thank you. Thank you. That was really nice. All right. So that's pretty much like both of the questions. Or does anybody have another one?
Have some.
Oh, sorry.
Mario may be feeling helpless and ashamed. Yes.
Yep.
But more than anything, not feeling like he's being a good provider.
That's very
Definitely.
true. Very true.
For his daughter. Let
What was
Mario
it?
know that there's courage in asking for help. It shows strength. There is no I in team, and teams are stronger than individuals.
Yes, Robert. Thank you. That is very true.
And Roxanne,
It's hard for me to see. I'm
I would
sorry.
also say fearful. Many parents worry that when they become homeless, they're going to lose their children to the system. Yes,
That is very true.
absolutely.
And the craziest part about it is clients can walk in, and it's not crazy. But what I don't understand is, I know we're here. We're always going to be here to help, but these parents are really trying to figure out solutions and figure out ways to help their their children and help themselves. And a lot of times it's I really, it's sad that it's hard that when we say we can call PD to help, because a lot of PD has shelter beds that a lot of people don't know, and maybe they do know, but if they can literally be walked in by PD, they can get their beds, they can get inside the system faster than, sometimes when we call. But it's so like, it's so sad. Once we say that, they're like, nope, I'm leaving. They pack up their kids, they pack up everybody, like, no, 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 you're not taking my kids away from me. And that's not what we're trying to do. So if anybody has different solutions for that, please put that in the chat, because I would love to share that with my staff and even try to use that myself, because I run into that a lot. So that's why I try to keep PD out of it as much as I can. But at the same time, they help us the most as well. So if anybody has any experiences with that, please throw that in there as well, because I would love to figure out and strategize as well. Do we have any other for the second question? Anything to reassure Mario that he is doing a great job and you're doing everything you can? Because people forget, when you walk through those doors, that's the first step. That's your first step. That's asking for help when you're walking through the doors of any resources for coordinated entry. That's the first step always. I would reassure Mario saying that. Does anybody else have anything to reassure him about? Or we can move to the...
Yeah, we do have one more from
Okay.
Roxanne. She says, to offer reassurance, I would help Mario understand he is doing the best that he can do in a situation like this.
That's right.
Seeking help is a big deal.
Thank you. I just tell you guys, I appreciate you guys just having all this feedback. I love it. I love it. You're gonna make me want to do more of these. And this is all right. So our next one for before we moved on, does anybody want to say anything else? I don't want to cut off anybody. I want everybody to be able to speak. Okay. So the next one is introducing goals and building that rapport. I know we already kind of talked about it, but this is so important. This is why I keep repeating this. Building a rapport with clients is like the best way you can get into that story, get the best way to help that client, and even building rapport with our own staff members. So that way we know, okay, I don't think I can help this client out because you are more, prone, you know how to deal with DV situations better than I do. I'm still learning, and that's okay. That's okay. So building that rapport with a staff member or building that rapport with a client is the number one thing that I always say do. First thing, small talk. How was your day today? Or, look at the weather, it's raining. I hate the rain sometimes. Or I love the rain because it's feeding the grass and the trees. I'm just saying something to just, or something corny to make them laugh, or whatever you want to do just to build that rapport. Introduce the concepts of diversion. So that this is why we say, always explain what you're doing. Don't ever just go into something, not explain what you're doing. Share what to expect from that conversation. So the diversion conversations, this is what I expect to get. Like, we expect to get you on that Greyhound bus, either, later on today or tonight, or we expect you to get you into a safe bed and off the streets. Be transparent about availability of housing. Now, that's number one. That is everything. That will get that client to really understand, okay, I may not be able to get you into housing tomorrow, but I can get you on this Greyhound and we can get you with your friend or family member, or even a transitional facility that can help you. But there's a kick. You have to have housing after that transitional facility, or even a detox facility in a different state. They have to offer housing afterwards. So my role to help you identify a way to find housing solutions quickly. I'm here to help problem solve and advocate for you. I'm going to ask you some questions about your current situations and what is preventing you from being in housing right now. Then we can explore some options for solving your crisis. And it's always just kind of having like a little script. I always found that's best. But I always have my frontline staff just like read the room, read the energy, always read that person. I'm really big on that. If I feel like a staff member or even a client, when I talk to them, if they're just sitting here like this and I'm just done, just hurry up and get done. I know how to kind of loosen that up. I would say, okay, we may not talk too much about diversion. Let's figure out why you're upset, what's going on. So building that rapport, always know your audience, watch your surroundings, just pay attention to that. You don't want to just jump into a diversion, VI, orientation, anything when a client is not, really paying attention. Give them that time. Don't just give up so quickly. Does anybody have anything to add to that?
Asking open-ended questions,
Yes.
definitely.
Yes. Always
Yeah.
asking open-ended questions. That's always the number one.
That gets the flow of the conversation
Yes.
going.
It sure does. It
Mhm.
sure does. And then for our next, and it's funny that you say
System.
that because that is our next slide. So motivational interviewing. Do you want to read that one? And then I'll throw some in there too.
So motivational interviewing, ask permission. Say, can we talk a bit more about your relationship with your mom? Ask open-ended questions. What help are you looking for? Affirm their strengths. You showed a lot of strength by handling that situation in that way. Reflective listening. What I hear you saying is that you had a great relationship with your landlord. How do you think she would respond if we reached out to her?
Definitely. So I can say these saved a lot of my conversations with staff, with I don't want to say staff members, I'm sorry, clients. These saved, and with staff actually, these saved a lot of my questions and rapports with our clients. I can't tell you, reflective listening is like the number one thing because clients are the number one thing that clients say is, I always feel like I'm being ignored. Literally thousands of people walk past me and they don't say nothing. I have stories for days. I don't want to just keep boring you with my stories, but I have one story where literally I was walking out of Walmart. I just looked over to the side and just, asked like, hey, do you have a place to stay? We have a campus, a homeless campus. He said, you were the first person that said something to me. I don't know how many people walked past me and you were the first one that said something to me. And then he started talking. So when he started talking, I did reflective listening and I said, so this is what you're saying. And he was just like, oh my gosh, can I go now? So I literally called him a lift and got him right over to HSC immediately. And I had a bag of groceries. My children are like, Mom, can we go? But I'm like, just go to the car. Hold on. I'm working right now, but I'm just saying it's everywhere you go. And it's just, I can't tell you how reflective listening is so important. And asking those open-ending questions are like, just getting that story and just allowing the client to feel like they are being heard. I can't tell you how important that is. And it's just so moving. It's just so moving. I just love what I do. So I could ramble all day long, and I don't want to keep you guys any longer than what we need to be, but we'll move on to the next slide. But I just say that's just really important to do that. Do you want to read never mind. I'm sorry. You read that one. Okay. So consider safety. So when you are talking to clients for diversions or anything, you want to consider safety. So are you fleeing domestic violence, or is there any other threats to your, can't even talk right, to your safety, excuse me. Can you tell me more about that situation? Would you be safe to stay there? So this is more for not even so much DV, it's wherever you go. When you are just doing a diversion, when you are sending someone to anywhere, transitional living, detox facility, if you're sending them to family or a family's house, a friend's, like family's house, friend's house, anywhere. You want to ask these questions. Make sure they are safe. Yes, it is for DV, but it's also for everyone because you don't know, the situation that you're going in because a lot of clients won't tell you that. Sometimes they just want to hurry and get out of the situation they're in, that they will rather go back to an abuser. They would rather go back to somewhere where they're not being treated correctly just to get out of the situation they're in. So always try to ask those questions. But when you do ask those questions, I would say maybe go with the first one first, so that way they don't be too defended. Because you just like, you always got to throw in there, like, I just have to ask. I just have to make sure you're safe. And you can always just throw little, scenarios in there as well. You can talk about your personal experiences. It's always great to relate. Sometimes it's not always great to talk about you. So you don't want to talk too much about you as well, because then it's like, is it my story or yours? So which one is it? Do anybody else have anything to say about that one? Okay, so we'll move to the next slide for Mario. You want, and Alicia? Yes, yes.
I wanted to talk about when we said considering safety. We've seen in some of our shelters and in some scenarios where there's evidence that would support the observation that maybe someone is in a violent relationship. But when the two are standing next to each other, like we've asked female clients before, do you feel safe right now? And they would immediately look over to the male that was standing next to them. And so I've found it really beneficial to remove the audience if I'm going to ask really personal questions, to give them their privacy and to make them to give them the opportunity to be heard. That it's important to make sure we separate, so that they feel that there aren't those eyes on them and they can share some of those things that are really personal.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I don't know if I did mention this, but we always separate couples. We always separate any like family members, friends. If you're coming in with someone, we always separate that for the sake of what he just said, because that's so important. We have to get the full story by yourself, because we don't know if it's a DV situation. We don't know if that person wants to talk for the other person, and we want to hear from that person always. So yes, we always separate them. Thank you for that. That was really good. Thank you for that. Did you want to go on to the next question?
Sure, for the activity.
Mhm.
Mario and Alicia, activity 2, questioning. What questions would you ask Mario to identify his housing situation, strengths, natural resources, financial assets, safety?
Okay. So this one is just basically identifying, for activity 2, just identifying different scenarios that you can think about with Mario. We're not going to do so much Alicia because she's a 5-year-old child, so we can't really talk to her too much. But just asking him about housing situations. So what housing situation in the past, and I know in the story we did say some of them, but it's just basically, what was your housing situations like in the past? Give them scenarios. So if you were to stay in a hotel, how long do you think that would be? So let's figure out a permanent solution, and then move on to strengths. And not so much like, what are your strengths? Can you lift 100 pounds or something? Just break the ice. Just like, what are your strengths? What makes you happy? That's what I always say when I go with strengths. What makes you happy? Or just a scenario, just say he likes to cook. So if that's one of your strengths, well, let's try to get you back to doing that. What can we do? What can I do to help you best? Natural resources, just different resources that we have on our campus. I always say we're a one-stop shop. So I can connect you to St. Joseph the Worker. I can connect you to just different areas to help you get back on your feet. Financial assets, just safety, just sleeping in your car with your child. That's not safety. That's not being safe. So we have to see if we can get you into a shelter. And I know it's not as easy as to get a family into a shelter as it is a single adult, but let's figure it out. Let's talk this all out. I just think it's really, really good to just always include that client into these conversations, and especially when they have a child, because any moment they can get triggered and they can walk right out. So you want to just go on a thin line and, throw some, try to throw some jokes to have them laugh sometimes. Laughter is like the best medicine sometimes. I know the situation is serious, but when you are talking and building that rapport with clients, sometimes when you are one-on-one talking, just kind of throwing like some joke in there, it could be corny, but at the same time they laugh, they have a smile on their face, that at that moment they just feel, like they're just okay in that very moment. They're forgetting about everything else that they're dealing with. Those are just my different, examples that I've had. I know everybody else had other examples as well, but it's just things that I share as well. If anybody else wants to add on to that.
We do have a few suggestions in the
Yeah.
chat.
Yeah.
Robert says he would ask Mario if getting in touch with the coworker who assisted him in the past was an option.
Yep.
And Sandra says, what obstacles has he overcome in the past to help him remember he has the ability to problem solve and get through tough situations?
Yes.
Yep.
All
Those are
right.
focusing on natural resources and
Yes.
strength.
Yep. That's focused on, natural resources and strength. See, this is what I'm saying. You guys are listening and everything. I love it. I love it. Anything else? Because man, I just might as well have you guys just do this presentation. You guys are great. Any other answers you want to throw in there as well? We're all up for it. Okay. All right. So the next one is identifying resources and solutions. So social network, friends, family, churches, communities, co-workers, temporary or permanent place to stay, financial assistance, landlords. So possible to reconnect with the past landlords, financials, income, savings, assets. So local services and resources, connect as needed to support the long-term plan. So basically, this is just to identify different resources and solutions for that client to be able to sustain their housing, or even go back to certain ones. Like for the landlord, hey, do you so you used to stay at Rogers Ranch? I'm just throwing something out there. Can we talk to that landlord and maybe get you back into the facility? Is that a possibility? If not, what can we do to help you get back there? Do you need help with moving assistance, or just different ways to help out? Social networking, which means like we can help so we have partner agencies that help out as well. But also, do you have family, friends, a church community that you're in, co-workers, anybody that can help out? Just throwing different solutions out there that, you're thinking so much in your head that sometimes you need somebody to just throw those different, scenarios out there to help. Sometimes, it clicks soon as they say it, or as soon as you're talking about it. Oh, wait, I do have a landlord that, I was really good with, but we ended up leaving because of such and such. Maybe I can call him back, and maybe I can see if we can get back into that place. Just figuring out different ways and networks and resources and solutions to help that client help best. Do you have anybody else have anything they want to throw in there or on the chat? No? Okay. There, anything? Okay. So I will let you do the next one. Take a drink real quick.
So with activity 3, solutions, what are possible solutions for Mario and Alicia's immediate housing needs? So what do you guys think would be the solution immediately?
Yeah, you
You just drop
Yeah.
that in the chat.
Just drop it in the chat. Any immediate solutions that we can help out with. with.
Or
if-
what do they think his immediate needs are?
Oh, okay. Yes, definitely. So if he's in front of us, let's just say what immediate housing needs do you think that and solutions that he can maybe possibly have? Any ideas? I mean, anything is better than nothing, I would say. So whatever you guys have, go ahead and throw it in the chat and we'll read it out. I know we talked about a couple of them too. So if you guys don't have it, it's okay, because I know we did kind of talk about some of that as well. Okay,
Move on?
okay, yeah, and it's fine. We'll move on, because I know we kind of, that's what I'm saying. You guys are ahead, you're ahead of the game. That's what I'm talking about. So create a diversion plan. So I know we kind of talked about that as well, but I still want to center on this. Creating a diversion plan is the most important action plan you can do. So the first one is talk through, identify solutions. Again, we're going to do this together. I'm not just going to tell you what you need to do. We're going to talk through it together. And then you're going to also kind of come up with you're going to come up with some solutions as well. Assist the client in choosing the best available opinion. Ask how can you assist in supporting this opinion. Create a housing plan together. Make sure the client has everything needed to move forward on the plan. Provide contact information for support if needed. So we kind of talked about all of that in the beginning. So making sure the client has an action plan for when they go out there. I always use like SMI or substance abuse, because it's always a little easier. So like say if like we said earlier, if they have clinics, make sure you talk to those clinics. Try to build that rapport with another clinic out in a different state. Make sure they feel good when they're on that bus. Make sure they they feel good. So when they see their family members they haven't seen in years, see if they have a job lined up. Just anything and everything you can think of to create a diversion plan. Let's do that so they do not walk through our doors again, because we do see that sometimes as well. Anybody else want to add, or anybody out there on the chat want to add anything to that, or any questions on it?
I had a question.
Okay.
If let's say someone was on probation and they're trying to get diverted out of state, what are the proper steps to take so that person can get diverted?
Great question. So we have to talk to the probation officer first. So actually, I missed that. So thank you, Michelle. So before we divert, we have to make sure. So we have probation officers that work with us. So we look them up, and also I have. I'm not going to say her name because she probably might kill me, because everybody will start calling her. But we have a probation officer that we give her the names of. First, we ask the client, "Are you on probation?" or "Are you on probation?" Usually, they're honest and they'll say yes. Some of them will say no, and they are. So we just ask the probation officer to look them up in the system, and they'll let us know if they're able to be diverted or not. So I had some issues with that in the past. We were diverting clients, and I didn't even think about, hey, is this person on probation? We do ask those questions, but it's a self-reported report. So if you're telling me no, I'm going to trust that, and you're saying no, but now we have to ask and do that research and ask the probation officer moving forward. So we do have a great person we work with. She is awesome, and she lets us know if they're on probation and they're allowed to move to different states. Now, some of them are still allowed. It depending on what their cases are, they can, but the probation officer has to know where they're going, and they're still able to move. So it could happen. So it's either yes or no, just depends what the offense is and what they're on probation for. Anybody else want to add to that one? You're welcome. Yeah, thank you for that. For totally missed that one, but thank you. I'll do the next one. Oh. Oh yeah, Next slide, sorry.
Okay, mediate, connect to resources, mediate with family, friends, support networks, landlords as needed, connect to necessary and genuine resources, provide case management as your program allows. So you become the champion of your local and national resources.
Yes, yes. So that's the same thing, just connecting the resources, just connecting to the family, like the same thing I said, when you're going to the different, when you go into a different state or even being diverted in Arizona, just you want to connect and use your resources that you have. Even if you have to just call different places, just take the time and just do that so we can help that client the best way they can. Just be genuine about it and just figure out different resources, ask, use your team, use other outside partner agencies. If you don't have it, I guarantee somebody else does, because I've learned a lot from, I will say, CBI, different agencies, everybody. Did you have a? Yep, that's what I was gonna say. I always go to CPI. Peyton, I'm always on your line. You know that. But but yes, just using different partner agencies, it always helps. Just building that rapport. That's why it's very important that you build rapport with your surroundings, your everybody, because it's just not there's no I in team. You need the whole entire campus to help you successfully in a client's homelessness. Yes, there's different steps, but everybody has a part in it. It's not just myself. It's not just the Welcome Center. It's not just HSC. It's not just, CBI. It's all of us all together. And this is why we do these trainings. This is why we meet once a month to reunite each other. So that way we can build the best, team. We're unbreakable. We'll be unbreakable. The 3 C's. I'm trying to remember it. Don't do me yet. I'm trying to remember it. 3 C's, communication, coordination, and collaboration. Look at that. So that's why we just have to, that's so important to do. I'm really big on that. Just being able to use our partner agencies. That's why we have them. It's a one-stop shop. That's why we have it. So we're gonna, oh yeah.
In regarding connecting to resources, one of the biggest barriers we have in finding alternative placement options for our members is those who have a sex offender charge in their history. Do you have any suggestions for who you guys reach out to, or what resources could potentially be available for someone with that type of criminal background?
Now you just put me on the spot.
Right on the spot.
Right on the spot. So as of right now, I'm still trying to figure, we're still trying to work on those. I do have Stacy, he has a jail program, but he doesn't do anything like that either. So yeah, as of right now, we don't, but I'm coming back to that because I'm going to find a solution. I'm going to find a resource. It's really hard. It's really hard. Because there's some apartment complex that do allow him. But at the same time, I know transitional facilities allow sex offenders, but I know some shelters don't. So that's still a question mark because we're still trying to figure that out. We're in the process right now of refreshing our whole entire resource packet so we can help out our SO clients as well, because everybody needs help. So we're gonna have to come back to that question. I don't have that answer yet, but we're gonna figure it out for sure. Anybody want to add to that?
Not as far as for immediate.
Okay.
placement, Right? That's what we're
Immediate
talking about.
placement,
Immediate
yeah.
placement.
Yeah, East Valley Men's Center is the only one right now that we know of. But like I said, we're figuring that out right now. Yeah, it's hard. It's really hard. That's why I said we need all of each other. This is why we need
Coming
this
together as a
resource. We need to
community.
come together as a community to figure this out, put our brains together. Oh, I'm telling you, we'll be unstoppable once we put our brains together and figure it out.
Work in collaboration.
Work in collaboration together. That's all we need. So our next slide is the follow-up. So this is the tedious part, but it's the fun part. This is the part that I get the best kick out of. So when we follow up. So I'm just going to explain first our follow up. So we call our clients back. And I would say every 2 months, we call them to make sure and to see how they're doing, like check on them. Are you still housed? Sadly, some of them aren't housed. Sadly, some of them haven't made it to, never even made it there, but majority of them have. 95% for 2021. I'm still working on this year's, it's not over yet, but so far, we are really, really doing good at no clients returning to our shelter. So our follow-up is we call back the families. We ask how they're doing, if they're housed, they're still housed, if they ended up getting, their job that they wanted or the detox facilities that they wanted to go to. So when we sit and build action plans, we also create, what do you want? Where do you see yourself in the next 5 months? And then once we do that, we go back and we talk to the family members, we talk to the clients. It's mostly the clients we try to talk to. And we ask them like, hey, so did you go to that job that you were saying? Did you end up working with your dad? Did you build that relationship with your mom again? And to hear these stories, oh my gosh, I can't tell you how proud and it's just like, wow, we did this as a team. It's not myself, it's my team. It's, all the partner agencies, we all did this together. So it's really important that we are able to call back those clients to find out their stories. We do success stories. I'll read the captions really quick. So we provide contact details. We set timelines to follow up depending on the need and the situation. We follow up supports the diversion plan and allows organizations to track the diversion story. So we do diversion stories every month. I'll tell you one story that was a success. We had a family about, they were refugees that came to St. Joseph the Worker. It was about, I want to say 20 of them, and we diverted all of them back home. And that was so beautiful. That story, I think, was in one of our newsletters. I'll have to find it and I'll post it I don't know how I would post it, but I'll figure it out. And I'll post it so you guys can see it. But it was beautiful. It was wonderful to get them back to their loved ones. It was children involved. It's just having these success stories. I can't tell you, this is why we do what we do, because that's what I want to hear. Like, I want to hear those relationships getting mended and being able to work with, their family members, being able to have their job, getting married, have their own places, and just coming back to the shelter and want to donate, want to volunteer. Some of them stop by because they're just passing through and just say, look, Miss Medina, I got this, and they talk to different other staff members and say, look what happened. I'm married now, or I'm starting a business and I'm doing so great. I can't tell you, that puts the biggest smile on my face. And this is the reason why we do this training. And this is why I say it's so important to have these diversion conversations and just get used to it. Just practice on your team. Just practice in the mirror. Just do whatever you can to make yourself feel comfortable on that end. So that way you can have the conversations with the staff member or with the clients. And we can divert them as well. Our next slide is practical considerations. Did you want to read that one?
Sure. And is this for our community partners considering?
Yes.
So
yes.
practical considerations for our community partners to consider diversion for their agencies. Create a diversion specialist position, review intake process, create diversion screening tools, track diversion data, source and leverage diversion funding, and gain community buy-in.
Yes, that's very important. Now, before we go to our last slide, which is the information, does anybody have any questions or? I know I see a couple in the box, but I want to just make sure we answer what we can. Oh, that was the same question. Is that a? Oh, let me
Manor
write that
House.
down really quick. Oh, Manor House. That's right. Let me write that down. Sorry. Let me get that really quick. Thank you for that. Is that Tracy? Thank you, Tracy. Okay, so Manor House. You guys want to read it? Okay, offer showers and.
Yeah,
clothes.
can y'all hear me?
Yes, we can.
They'll have to start over at the CRRC to get referred over.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna write that down one. Start.
Abel's house.
Okay, in Abel's house. This is great. Thank you. All right, thank you guys. I appreciate that. Any other information that we didn't share that we could use too? Because hey, I'm all for it. What was it? What was that? What does it gain community mean? So for that one,
So Michelle wrote, what does gain community buy-in mean?
I was reading that one. So for that one, gain, okay, so so that one is more, now correct me if I'm wrong, this is how I've been saying this. So for the gain the community buy-in is more just, so what I was taking from it is just by just having different communities help us out and donate different like just the buying for the, okay, so for like different grants, like I don't want to say, I don't know what I can and can't say. I don't want to say too much. So I will say just a short and a story. It's just like different grants that we can use. So for instance, I can say really quick for our movement assistance, our green light, we did such a good job with that. We ended up getting a grant for Flex Fund. So that's the same thing, but it's Flex Fund is different. So it's kind of like that's what it is. Not saying too much. Let me see and let me talk to my director and I can get more information off of that. I just want to make sure I'm saying the right things because you always know as soon as you say something, it's recorded, it's out there. So let me just make sure I get that correctly. Now, Michelle, you correct me if I'm wrong.
No,
but I just-
like what you're saying, community buy-in, like in a funding perspective, right?
Yeah.
And showing that there is like that need, but it could be community buy-in. Like right now, we had about 60 something people sign up. And hopefully after this, you guys are bought in to use this strategy in your organization and just getting the word out and just educating each other on it. And then it could even go as like, because sometimes for diversion, there's like hygiene kits or things that get sent along with the client for their trip. And that could be like the public's buy-in too, that they know of these diversion efforts and how can they participate in these efforts.
Definitely.
So those are different
Definitely.
ways that we could do community buy-in.
Thank you. Yes. So again, just coming back to that collaboration, all of us working together and being able to help each other out because it's not just our clients, it's everybody's clients that, are needing help. So it's whatever we can do to help you guys the best way we can. And then also, so for the last one has our contact information, our last slide. Or did I miss any other questions? Sorry, I didn't want to. Did I get everybody? Okay. Sorry, okay. So yeah, just the last slide is just a picture of our lovely campus. And then also it has my information. It also has diversions. So my apologies. Most of the partner agencies should already have the diversion referral. If you don't, just put it in the chat and I will go back to it and I'll write down you guys' emails and I'll send it out. But you do have to be a partner agency. And if you're not, you can just send them to the Welcome Center. That's totally fine. And then we can divert them as well that way. but to make it easier, it's actual diversion referral. You'll fill out. It's pretty much self-explanatory. You'll send it to that email, diversion@hsc-az.org. I prefer you send it to there when it's a referral. But if you have any questions, please feel free to just reach out to me at mdixon@hsc-az.org. And then we can, if you have any questions, if you want me to just, we did record this, but also if you want me to go to like your agency and kind of talk to you about diversions and go into more indefinite to how you upload an HMIS. Now that's a whole different ball game. I would love to do that because I want to make sure everything is done correctly. Our data is done correctly, and our diversions is inputted correctly. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I'm okay with that. I am I do have a little busy schedule, but I'm always there to help our community out. I want to make sure we're doing everything we can to help each other out. So feel free to reach out to me. And again, if you have any diversions, send them to that diversion referral email and we're all good. I just want to thank everybody for taking the time to come out and listen to Andrea and I talk and talk about diversions. And I hope you guys learned some stuff and it was interesting for you. And if you have any other questions, just feel free to reach out to us. Do you want to say anything before we? All right. Yes, thank you. Appreciate everybody.
Medina and Andrea for joining us. And thank you everybody on the Zoom call and our one attendee in person.
Yes.
Thank you.
He's a part of the training. Thank you, guys.
And there'll be a recording, the recording will be posted on our site soon. Yes, Dylan will be sending it out in a follow-up email. And if you have any questions, please reach out to Medina. And thank you everyone for joining.
Thank you.